Well, my own private story goes in alliance with the story of the 1967 Six-Day War. At the time, I was a young soldier at IDF, and believe me, I was not running around shooting, so stay quiet. I volunteered to be a teacher for ladies who came from the Atlas Mountains, newcomers from Morocco, who couldn't read and write in any language. And I was one of those soldiers that used to go to those villages and teach them Hebrew. But in my free time, I used to play the guitar and sing, and was called to the radio to some sort of a program that is similar to American Idol. The only thing was, it was a radio program and you could not see the idol. That made life very, very easy. No makeup, you just stood there and sang. The daughter of Naomi Shemer, Haleli, who was 12 years old at the time, had the radio open. We had only one broadcasting system, Reshet Aleph, and she heard me sing, and she called her mother and she said, Mother, come quick. I want you to hear this girl singing. I think you might like her voice. I don't know nothing about it. At that time, the late legendary mayor of Jerusalem, Teddy Kollek, was going to host the annual song festival on Yom HaAtzmaut, on Independence Day. And he said that he wanted the public singing for Yerushalayim. This is how he said in his heavy Viennese accent. And they said to him, wow, there's no songs for Jerusalem almost, only maybe a few biblical verses. So he said, they should write. Well, if he commands, nobody would... how would you say it? Argue with him. Yes, of course, you would stand still and do what he says. So Naomi Shemer was reached and asked to write a song for Yerushalayim just to decorate the annual song festival while they're counting the votes. And she said, what, you're crazy? If you knew her temper. I come from the Galilee. I come from Kvutzat Kinneret, one of the first kibbutzim on the Sea of Galilee. How can I write to Yerushalayim? So one of the managers, who was a very clever man, Gil Aldema, he said to her, you know what? Go home, relax, don't write for Yerushalayim. And you know what we usually do when we are told not to do something, children especially, but some adults as well. So she went back to Yerushalayim, where she studied to be a pianist and a composer in the Music Academy of Rubin in Yerushalayim, spent a few days, and came back with some ideas. Then she had the song, and she showed it to another very well-known lady in Israel called Rivka Michaeli in the entertainment world, who's a good friend of hers, and she shows her the song. 2 verses and a refrain. And Rivka looks at her, she's a Jerusalemite, and she says, Naomi, how could you not mention the old city? You know that I was born there, and my whole family had to be evicted during the War of Independence. We used to live for hundreds of years in the Jewish quarter. So she went home and she wrote the middle verse, Eicha yavshu borot hamayim, and how we cannot reach the old city and the holy places. So it was quite a sad, lyrical song. And then the question came, when the song was ready, who is going to sing this song? So Naomi said, well, there's this soldier girl, Shuly Natan. I would like her to perform this song. And the managers of the festival said, no way. She is an amateur singer. We're not taking amateur singers. So Naomi said, you know give me this singer, I know give this song. And this is how I won. And I know nothing about it until one day I receive a telephone call, which was a very complicated mission at the time, to this place in the Negev where I was serving. And the mayor of this area, he says to me, you know, Naomi Shemer wants to speak to you. So I nearly fainted because I understood that it meant chasifa, how this exposure, yes, exposure. But anyway, I went to the meeting. I sat with her and I learned the song. And then came the day, Independence Day 1967. We forgot something very important. On that day, the president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, announced that he is moving his troops towards Israel in the Sinai Desert and that he's closing the Tiran Straits so that Israeli ships would not be able to go to the Far East in the short way. That is considered an act of war. So everybody who came to the Hall of the Nations in Yerushalayim, in the entrance to Jerusalem, was very, very shaky. And everybody had their radio tuned on, no television at that time, and I told you, only one channel. So everybody was waiting to listen to this song contest, but was very, very nervous because we felt that door was at our doorstep. And the contest goes on, it finishes, and in order to count the votes, they call me. While they're counting the votes, they call me to stand on the stage. I didn't even know that I had to buy a special performing dress. I think till today I don't quite know it. But I stood there shaking like a leaf, and I sang this song. And at the end of the evening, first of all, there was a silence when I finished, and then amazing applause, which I was completely overtaken by. And then I went to the backstage and waited for the evening to finish. At the end of the evening, I see that Mayor Teddy Kollek is coming back to the stage, completely uninterested in the song festival. Remember, he got his song for his Yerushalayim. So what I hear him saying, and now, at the end of the evening, I want this young soldier girl, Shuly Natan, to return to this stage and sing the song again. So I ran quickly, my guitar hardly tuned, and I sing this song again. And this time, it was magic because the whole audience joined me in and sang the refrain together with me. The next day, it was played on the radio over and over again while they were recruiting the reserves because the feeling that there's a war coming. I went to the Southern Command, and together with many other actors and singers, we went to sing and entertain the soldiers while they were waiting, and I was in the Negev. And then when we heard that the war broke up, some of us refused the command to stay in Be'er Sheva, in the headquarters, including myself. And we went with some convoy that went after the soldiers who were fighting, and we went straight into Sinai. And on Wednesday, I will never forget it, about 40 kilometers from the Suez Canal, there I found myself. We hear on the wireless the late General Mota Gur shrieking, "The Temple Mount is in our hands." It was unbelievable. So what did the soldiers do at this place? There was an army vehicle deeply sunk in the sand, כמו במערכון של הגשש החיוור. And היה מנוע. היה. And they took a piece of wood, they put it on top of the car so it will be more stable, and they put me on top of it. And there in the middle of the desert, this endless blue sky and sand, and the soldiers who just returned from battle, you couldn't identify their faces. They were completely covered with dust. And there I stood and sang the song. And all the secret services of the state of Israel were looking for me to sing it by the Kotel, and nobody knew where I was. My poor parents, there were no mobile phones, at that time. Well, the song has become the hymn and the prayer of the Six-Day War, and then later even suggested by some Knesset members to become the hymn of Israel, but we respect Hatikva, and we keep it in its place, and Yerushalayim Shezav comes only second, and I feel ever so blessed. And I would like to share this blessing with you. Yeah.